darkness has a weight to it. It presses in from all sides, amplifying every sound and sensation. In the heart of the abandoned psychiatric wing, that weight felt heavier than ever. The air was thick with decay and forgotten memories, peeling paint, rusted bed frames. We were there to listen, to reach out into the silence and see if something would reach back. Our tools were simple: a digital recorder, an electromagnetic field meter, and a small device known as a spirit box. It rapidly scans radio frequencies, creating white noise, fragmented audio snippets. We hoped a voice from beyond might manipulate this chaos to form a word. Hours passed. Dust motes crawled in our flashlight beams. Occasional, unexplainable creaks. The spirit box chattered endlessly. Static, distant music, clipped phrases. Hypnotic, maddening. We asked our questions into the void. Is anyone here with us? Can you tell us your name? Disjointed responses, meaningless syllables, a familiar dance of hope and disappointment. Then, something changed. The cacophony paused for a fraction of a second, a momentary lull. In that sliver of quiet, a voice emerged, different from the garbled chatter, clear, calm, direct. Not a shout. Not a whisper, declarative. No static, no radio bleed, as if someone stood beside the device and spoke. A single chilling word. It severed the night's monotony. The voice spoke my name. It said, Dawn. Clear, disembodied voice. Dawn. Not a question. Not a fragment. Unmistakable. The silence that followed was profound. My team froze, faces lit by equipment glow. Shock, disbelief. The air felt electrified, intimate and terrifying. It became personal. The darkness wasn't empty anymore. It felt like it was looking at me. It knew who I was, and it had just called me by name. How do you explain the unexplainable? In the immediate aftermath, our minds raced to find a logical foothold. The first and most obvious culprit: radio contamination. A spirit box is, at its core, a modified radio. It's plausible we stumbled on a station. A DJ could have said my name. A caller could have said my name. It was a common name. The odds weren't impossible. We checked local radio station playlists. We checked broadcast schedules for that night. But our search came up empty. No logical broadcast source identified. Next possibility: audio pareidolia. The brain perceives familiar patterns. Voices. The brain perceives familiar patterns. Words. It's why we see faces in clouds. It's why we hear whispers in the wind. Our expectation can influence what we perceive. Were we so deep into the investigation, so desperate for a connection, that our brains assembled static into a word? It was a valid scientific explanation investigators must consider. We had to remain objective, yet the clarity of the voice defied dismissal. Pareidolia usually sounds muffled and ambiguous. What we heard was not muffled. It was crisp and clear, devoid of radio static. Each team member heard the exact same thing. They heard it at the exact same time. They heard it with the exact same inflection. When we analyzed the recording, the waveform for that word stood out. It was distinct from the noisy chatter around it. The scientific explanation felt insufficient next to the recording. It felt like calling a photo a trick of light. We found ourselves on a precipice facing a deeper possibility. What if it wasn't a coincidence? What if it wasn't a trick of our minds? What if something in that decaying, forgotten place intentionally reached through the static to communicate? This question sits at the heart of the paranormal. It's the line between a scientific anomaly and a genuine spiritual encounter. To accept it is to accept that consciousness may not be confined to the living, and that our tools can sometimes become a bridge to a world we don't fully understand. The voice that said my name became an invitation to question everything we thought we knew. This single, inexplicable event forced us to re-examine the very nature of our work. For centuries, humanity has sought to communicate with the other side. The methods have evolved: flickering candlelight of Victorian seances, sliding planchette of a spirit board, to the technological age of EVP, electronic voice phenomena. Investigators in the mid-20th century began discovering disembodied voices on tape recordings, whispers hidden in the magnetic hiss that were not audible at the time of recording. This leap from ritual to technology marked a pivotal moment, suggesting that the dead might prefer to speak through our machines. The spirit box represents the next step in that evolution. Its invention was born from the theory that spirits might not have enough energy to generate voices, but might manipulate existing energy sources. By providing a constant stream of fragmented audio from live radio waves, the spirit box offers raw, sonic clay for a potential entity to mold. It is controversial. Many dismiss it. However, a growing number of researchers believe these devices can facilitate real-time, two-way conversations with the unknown. To reduce bias, the Estes Method was developed to investigate the Stanley Hotel, aiming for a controlled scientific environment for spirit box communication. It isolates the listener from outside contamination, turning them into a pure conduit for whatever comes through. The goal is to separate perception from reality, and in doing so, capture more credible evidence of contact. Our experience in that abandoned hospital wing was more than a chilling ghost story. It became a catalyst to delve deeper into the mystery. Was the voice that spoke my name a statistical fluke, or a successful, albeit terrifying, application of this theory? The only way to find out was to deconstruct the phenomenon. We had to explore the history, understand the technology, and meticulously examine the methods that claim to bridge the gap between our world and the next. It was an unsettling invitation, a call to journey into the heart of the static and confront the voice that waits within. The human fascination with speaking to the dead is not a modern invention. It is a thread woven deep into our history. But the spirit communication we recognize today blossomed in the mid-19th century with the rise of spiritualism, built on the belief spirits could and would communicate with the living. At the center stood the medium, thought to be uniquely sensitive to the spirit world. They were seen as conduits, the living telephones to the afterlife. Spirits were said to manifest in different ways. Mysterious knocking sounds, tables that levitated, and disembodied voices from thin air. The most iconic, the spirit board, or Ouija. Participants lightly placed fingertips on the planchette, which would seemingly move on its own to spell messages. But these methods were steeped in controversy. Skeptics and professional magicians, including Harry Houdini, worked to expose the tricks. The 20th century ushered in a technological revolution that would change ghost hunting forever. Tools for spirit communication shifted from the seance table to the laboratory bench. But it was Swedish painter-filmmaker Fredrik Jürgensen who brought EVP to public attention. In 1959, while recording bird songs, Jürgensen heard what he believed was his deceased mother's voice on tape. Capturing an EVP was straightforward. An investigator would enter a location, turn on a tape recorder, ask questions into the empty air, and leave long pauses for any response. These voices were usually inaudible during recording, suggesting spirits might imprint directly onto magnetic tape, using the device's electronic energy as a medium. It marked a shift, communication as technological interaction rather than biological, a tool still used by almost every ghost hunter today. Investigators longed for a way to have a real-time conversation. If they could manipulate the magnetic particles on a tape, perhaps they could also manipulate radio waves. The concept was pioneered by a man named Frank Sumption, claimed to have received the schematics from the other side. Following those instructions, he modified a small handheld radio. Instead of tuning into one station, his device was designed to continuously scan the AM band and the FM band. The result was a chaotic, choppy stream of white noise. The theory is simple. A spirit doesn't need to generate a voice from scratch. It only needs to influence the device's scanning tuner to string these pieces together into intelligent responses. A question like, "What is your name?" might be met with a burst of static, pieced together from two different stations in quick succession, then an answer. For every compelling story, there is a chorus of skeptical voices. The odds that a random word or phrase will coincidentally sound like a relevant answer are statistically quite high. Building on this is the powerful psychological phenomenon of auditory pareidolia. Our brains are hardwired to find patterns and meaning, especially in random noise. Did you hear that? It said, leave. Furthermore, the influence of suggestion and confirmation bias cannot be overstated. In a group setting, once one person suggests they heard a specific word, others are more likely to agree. To the skeptic, the spirit box doesn't capture voices from the other side. It simply reflects the hopes, fears, and powerful pattern-seeking tendencies of the person holding it. The Estes Method is fundamentally a two-person protocol, a carefully choreographed dance between an operator and a receiver. The operator is the master of ceremonies. Their job: be aware of the environment, observe physical phenomena, and ask the questions. The receiver is the human antenna, completely cut off from the operator's side. The blindfold removes visual cues. The headphones pipe raw audio from the spirit box into the receiver's ears. Operator: can you tell us how many spirits are here? Receiver: 4. When followed correctly, a chilling dynamic emerges. The session becomes a three-way exchange, with the receiver as an unwitting translator between the living and whatever may lie beyond. Becoming a receiver is a unique and often intense experience. The receiver's primary responsibility is to be a passive vessel. Their task is not to interpret, analyze, or try to make sense of the sounds. It is a form of meditative listening. Receiver: water. They must resist the temptation to string together random noises. Their job is to report only what is clear. This discipline is crucial for the integrity of the evidence. It is only after the session ends that they learn the context, suggesting that they were, for a time, a genuine link in a chain of communication they were not even aware of. While the receiver may be the conduit, the operator is the true director of the Estes Method session. This role requires sharp wits, excellent listening skills, and the ability to think on one's feet. Operator: how are you feeling? Like a good journalist, they must ask open-ended questions that do not lead the witness. This encourages a broader range of potential answers. Documentation is a vital part of the operator's job. This creates multiple layers of evidence that can be cross-referenced later. Operator: for the audio log, I just asked what your name was, and the receiver immediately said Catherine, which is the name of the woman who reportedly died in this room. When a direct and intelligent correlation occurs, the operator should state it for the record. It validates the hit at the moment it happens. The effectiveness of an Estes Method session begins long before the headphones are put on. A thorough baseline sweep is essential to establish a sterile canvas. Operator: is there anyone here who would like to communicate with us tonight? We mean you no harm. Respect for the location is paramount. This gentle opening sets a non-threatening tone. A poor operator can ruin a session. Asking too many questions leaves no time for a response. Becoming overly emotional can contaminate the audio. A skilled operator remains patient. They understand silence is part of the conversation, giving whatever intelligence is present time to form a reply. Operator: what was your name when you were here? Receiver: Walter. The operator asks a direct, simple question. The blindfolded receiver sits perfectly still. Operator: thank you, Walter. Can you tell us what you did here? The operator immediately documents it. The operator now has a thread to pull. Can you tell us what you did here? Receiver: watch. Door. Then, the receiver speaks again. Watch. Door. Historical records mention a bouncer named Walter who watched the door for police raids. Each step reinforces the last, building a compelling case beyond mere coincidence. A ghost story told one fragmented word at a time. Honesty and realism demand that we acknowledge the many sessions where nothing happens at all. The blindfolded receiver remains completely still. But no words come. The receiver indicates now that it is he who is responding and says there are no responses coming from the spirit box anymore. The session continues for 20 minutes, filled with hopeful questions and profound silence. It is not a vending machine. It is more like fishing in a vast, dark ocean. You can have the best bait and technique, but there is no guarantee of a catch. These silent sessions also serve to highlight the significance of a genuine hit. The silence provides the contrast. It is the quiet that makes the eventual voice so jarring and unforgettable. There is no response more personal, more chilling, than hearing your own name spoken. It is the moment the experiment looks back at you. Dawn. The chaotic noise in my headphones seems to part for an instant. It is a single, fluid, impossibly clear male voice. The voice says my name. Dawn. It is so clear and unexpected that I physically jolt in my chair. The operator freezes. He knows I could not have heard him speak. He has not said my name all night. In that moment, the investigation ceases to be about history or science. It becomes intensely, terrifyingly personal. It singled me out in the darkness, and it called me by my name. We began this journey with a single, inexplicable event. This single moment propelled us into a deeper exploration of spirit communication. After all the analysis and reenactments, we are left where we started, with a question. What was that voice? An echo of a consciousness from beyond the grave, or a phantom created by our own minds? Skeptical explanations remain persuasive. Laws of probability, pareidolia, confirmation bias, dawn. Yet the experience resists those containers. The chill down your spine is not a scientific variable, but it is powerful evidence, a primal reaction to something other. For me, the voice is profound evidence. For the world, it remains an anomaly, an echo in the static. A mystery technology can capture, but not yet solve. The best practices of modern paranormal research are bringing a new level of discipline to the field. We are attempting to conduct genuine research on the edge of the known world. The line between science and the supernatural, between what we can prove and what we can only feel, remains stubbornly blurred. Ultimately, the search for what lies beyond is a deeply personal journey. For some, no amount of evidence will ever be enough. For others, a single whispered word in the dark is all it takes. My experience has not provided me with final answers, but it has given me more profound questions. There are still great mysteries left to explore, and sometimes, in the search for the unknown, the most unsettling discovery is not a ghost in the machine, but a new and unfamiliar frontier within yourself, on the very edge of belief.